Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Indy Kid coming at you. This is the Orange Blazer, and I just want to come to you guys and kind of go over preview the SEC men's tournament starting tomorrow. Actually, starting tomorrow down in Nashville, and so just kind of want to recap the bracket. We'll kind of talk about Tennessee's chances, and kind of see what we think moving forward here, and kind of look at some trends with the tournament as well. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe, and make sure you check out some of the videos that have dropped this week. And we'll get right into it as Tennessee comes in to the SEC tournament. Big win over Florida on Sunday, and they come in as the 4 seed opposed to the 6 seed. So what that means, double bye for Tennessee instead of having to play a game on Thursday. They get that double bye until Friday. So we're looking at it, and I think we talked Sunday, and I was a little bit off on it. So the play-in game is going to be Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M. Winner of that plays Florida, and then either Florida or the winner of the play-in game plays Tennessee on Friday at 2:00. So just kind of look at some trends coming in right here and how things fare for Tennessee. So just kind of look at your standings. Of course, Tennessee is the 4 seed. You got Alabama, who's the 1. Arkansas is the 2. LSU, Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss, Missouri, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. That's your standings. That's how it resulted in for the season. And, we talked about this on Sunday about the SEC. I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. This is a sneaky good conference right here. I think you got multiple teams that can make runs when you get to the NCAA tournament next week. You've got some good teams, and just kind of look at the trends coming in right now. I don't have the last 10s, but I do have streaks pulled up. And, of course, Alabama's on a 3-game streak coming in, but Arkansas's won 8 in a row. Red hot right now, and, a lot of times this is when you want to get hot coming into March, and they are hot right now. So, I think going on streaks and stuff, you've got to think they're a favorite coming into the tournament this weekend. And just kind of look at the bracket here. So you've got, of course, Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, and then 11 noon on Thursday, you got Kentucky versus Mississippi State. Right there, the winner of that plays number 1 seed Alabama. Coming in right now, not a big streak either way. Kentucky's won 1, Mississippi State's lost 1. That's their streak. So both teams kind of going back and forth. So Kentucky was 8-9, Mississippi State 8-10. Right there. I did notice the stat. They've both played some neutral site games. Neither one of them's won a neutral site game this year. I'm not sure how many fans are being allowed, but it is in the state of Tennessee, so I'd imagine there's some. But, Kentucky, a lot of times in Nashville, has that. It's almost like a home court advantage there between them and Tennessee, basically. But I don't think any team's going to have that advantage. Maybe Kentucky will a little bit, but I'm not sure how they're doing that this time. If I'm not sure how the sessions work with it, but I don't think they'll have that normal home court. But it's SEC tournament. You still got to go with Kentucky there. Texas A&M or Vanderbilt against Florida. I think Florida probably runs either one of those teams out of the gym right there. And of course, some of it's going to depend on, is Florida fully healthy? What's going on there as well? And then you got Missouri versus Georgia. Georgia 7-11 conference, Missouri 8-8. I think Missouri too tough for them right here. And then South Carolina versus Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss prevails on that one right there. So, I think all higher seeds prevail. I don't see any kind of upset right there. So that would set up then Kentucky versus Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, and Ole Miss versus LSU. Once again, I'm going higher seeds prevail. Right here, I'm going Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, and LSU. I don't know that I see big upsets throughout this tournament. And here's where Tennessee, I think, Tennessee has been blown out by Florida once, and then they played a good last 24 minutes on Sunday, but it took them about 16 minutes to get going on Sunday. We're going to see, again, which Tennessee team is going to show up. Is it the one that was fired up and having fun the last 24 minutes, or is it the one that was just dragging and going through the motions the first 16 minutes? In the grand scheme of things, I don't think the SEC tournament really matters. It matters if you're trying to get into the tournament. It matters for seeding. What's the ideal perfect tournament for Tennessee? Obviously, to win it, you get a higher seeding. But I think for them to reach that top 4 seeding, they're going to have to beat Florida. They're going to have to beat Alabama, and they're going to have to beat Arkansas in that order to get. I think that would possibly push them up around a 4 seed. I've seen people saying as high as 3. I don't know about a 3. A lot of that's going to depend on what happens in these other conference tournaments. But I think Tennessee's ceiling as far as seeding goes would be 4, and I think their floor is probably down around an 8 or a 9 right there. And I could be wrong on that. It may be 7. But if they come in against Florida and just get blown out of the building or something, I could see them dropping down that 8 and 9 matchup. And you really don't want to be there because that means you're in with either Gonzaga, you're in with Baylor, you're probably in with one of the Big Ten teams, or maybe a couple Big Ten teams, depending on who it is, because there's quite a few Big Ten teams in the top 10. But I think Tennessee will get by Florida, and then you get a rematch with Alabama. And the question was posed on the post-game show Sunday: who would you rather have, Kentucky or Alabama? I would want Alabama, not because I'm saying they're beatable, but Alabama is the one that kind of started this slide with Tennessee. That was the first loss. I don't know if Alabama provided the blueprint or what it was for beating Tennessee, but from that point on, they were pretty much almost 500 ball the rest of the year, and maybe a game or 2 over at that point. But I think if you're Tennessee, you find out what you're made of. You find out, is there that hunger to play Alabama right there? The team that started this for you. I would think you want Alabama. I mean, I would want Florida again. Obviously, I would hope if I'm Tennessee that I see Florida again, because they embarrassed us once, and the game ended up on the good side Sunday, but redemption along. If I'm Tennessee, to fire me up, because Arkansas is probably going. If it came down to the final on Sunday and it was Tennessee and Arkansas, you got to think Arkansas probably wants some redemption against Tennessee. But perfect in an ideal scenario, I'd like to see Tennessee get Florida, Alabama, and then LSU. And it seems we always play at LSU. There's always something there. I'd like nothing more than that. But realistically, I don't see Tennessee getting past Alabama. Not the way they're playing, unless they turn it back on like they did earlier in the season. So, but we've said it many times: Jekyll and Hyde team. Which one shows up, Jekyll or Hyde, this weekend? And we may see a little bit of both right there. We've seen Tennessee teams in this tournament absolutely crap the bed. We've seen them overachieve. We've seen them, play well and go out valiantly. Who knows right here? But is it best to make a run and get hot right here? Is it best to maybe get a little bit, if you do lose Friday or Saturday and you get a little bit of extra rest going into the tournament? I don't know which best one. I'm always under. My thought process is I want to go in as hot as possible right there. And at this point in the year, if you can't get fired up to play, maybe you don't in the SEC tournament, but if you can't get fired up to play in the NCAA tournament where every night matters, where you get beat and you're going home, you don't need to be there. And obviously it happens every year. There's teams that come in, I don't know if they think they're going to waltz through somebody or what, but there's always that team that wants it a little bit more. And so if I'm Tennessee, I want to go in hot. It doesn't necessarily mean they've got to win the SEC tournament, but winning some games here would be, I think, a big boost of confidence. And I think they needed that big boost of confidence Sunday when they made that comeback against Florida after being down by 14 points. So we'll see where they're at going forward. And we'll see how this Tennessee team wants to finish out the year, because it could, I still say it's a second weekend team if they play to their capabilities, or they could have 2 games left, and that's against Florida, and that's the first game of the NCAA tournament. So if they decide they're not going to show up, this team has 2 games left. If they decide they're going to show up, they could have anywhere from 4 or more games left, just depending on what they get to. But, at one point it looked like a potential Final Four team, and something happened along the way. And, I was looking at the SEC, all SEC team. I think at one point I would have expected some Vols to have been on the first teams. When it comes out, the all SEC teams, all you've got Springer and Keon Johnson on the third team. And maybe you got some honorable mention, but Rick Barnes needs to look in the mirror. He's got a knack for not showing up in tournaments. And we'll see right here. If something's not working, it's time for Rick Barnes to go look in the mirror and figure out what can work. If your approach you've done is not working, you need to change it up a little bit. And, all players are different. You've got to adapt to your team. I'm not saying you got to coddle them or anything like that, but sometimes you've got to coach players differently each year. And he's a big boy. He's getting paid big money down there. I expect him to figure it out. Will he figure it out this year? I don't know. But, I hope that how the season ends up, I hope that he'll reflect. I hope he'll see, what was going right when they were playing well, what has not gone right. And, because I think these last few games, you're seeing the end of Fulkerson and Pons and Springer and Johnson. Who knows who may transfer at that point as well. And, I think they need to hit on some grad transfers, or it looks like this one-time transfer is about to get approved here in probably the next month or so. So if there's some one-time transfers that can help, I think you got to go that route. You bring in what you can, preferably some big men along the way. But, I think there'll be some good basketball this weekend in the SEC tournament. Again, I think it's a strong conference. I think it's a very underrated conference. And I think they'll show it come NCAA tournament time. But Friday, 2 o'clock, that's the next guaranteed game for Tennessee. And then, we'll definitely be back with some post-show this weekend. Since it's 2 o'clock on Friday, we'll have to see what we can get in on Friday. But we'll definitely try to come at you with something Friday, and then we'll go from there, depending on if they play any more this weekend or not. Selection Sunday. There'll be something Sunday coming at you regarding the seeding, who they're playing and stuff, whether it's previewing the tournament, whether it's previewing where Tennessee's at, or something along those lines. So keep your eyes on that, out on that as well. And then hopefully we can get back with some Rocky Top review again, cover a little bit of football news, obviously basketball, and then baseball teams in high gear. Right now, last I saw, they were trailing Charlotte 5-0. Midweek road game. Pretty tough game right there. And then so we'll continue to follow the Diamond Vols as well, as they're having a good start to the season, and they should be getting close to SEC play as well. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit subscribe. Hopefully we'll see a nice run this weekend. Hopefully we'll have a few post-game shows this weekend. But in the meantime, go Vols. You guys take care, stay safe, and I'll see you when I see you.